Welcome everyone to the Judiciary Committee decision-making hearing this morning, Monday morning. My name is Carl Rhodes. I'm chair of the committee, and this Zoom meeting and YouTube live event will include just one agenda, the 10:30 decision-making agenda. Other members of the Judiciary Committee are Vice Chair Keo Kalole, Senators Ocasio, Gabbard, Lee, Kim, and Favela. As noted, this hearing is being streamed live on YouTube. You can find links to viewing options for all Senate hearings and meetings on the live and on-demand video page of the legislature's website. If you're interested in seeing the written testimony, you can go to the legislature's website, capitol.hawaii.gov, and just look for the bill that you're interested in. If we have technical difficulties and we have to delay the meeting, we will pick up wherever we got to tomorrow, Tuesday, the 1st of March at 9:55 a.m. on video conference, and a public notice will be posted. Okay, I think that's it for the preliminaries. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I don't think the vice chair is here. Senator Ocasio, do you mind taking votes again?
Sure, no problem.
First up, we have SB 2158. 2158 is relating to the use of sirens by emergency vehicles. This allows reasonable emergency response vehicles to not use sirens if the siren is not reasonably necessary under the circumstances. Recommendation here is to pass as is. Questions or concerns? If not, Senator Ocasio.
Okay, Chair, we're voting on Senate Bill 2158 as is. Chair votes. Chair, your vote?
Aye.
Noting the excused absence of Senator Joe Hokolole, Senator Gabbard. Oh,
aye.
Sorry, Ocasio. Also, Ocasio votes aye. Senator Gabbard votes aye. Senator Kim.
Aye.
Senator Favela.
Reservations.
Senator Keo Kalole is here now.
I vote aye.
Measure passes.
Thank you. Senator Keo Kalole, are you ready to take votes?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll switch over. Thank you, Senator Ocasio. Next up is SB 2159. This clarifies that the residential zone restriction on the use of leaf blowers at certain hours includes residential districts, apartment districts, and mixed use districts. It removes the exemption on leaf blower restrictions for government agencies. Senator Keo Kalole, chair of the Health Committee, are you okay with putting in a exemption that government entities can use leaf blowers in cases of emergency during the normally prohibited hours? Okay.
Yeah.
So that will be the amendment to just allow government agencies to use leaf blowers in case of emergency, which was requested by the Department of Transportation. Any questions or concerns? If not, Vice Chair for the vote on 2159 as amended.
Members voting on SB 2159 SB1, the chair's recommendation is to pass with amendments. Chair Rhodes.
Aye.
Vice Chair goes aye. Senator Ocasio.
Aye.
Senator Gabbard.
Aye.
Senator Kim.
Aye.
Senator Favela.
Reservations.
Senator Lee. Senator Lee is excused. All other members vote aye. Recommendation adopted.
Thank you, members. Next up is SB 2161. This requires the exterior of the envelope containing the ballot package to include instructions on how to obtain language translation services in Alelo, Hawaii, and certain foreign languages. Recommendation here is to pass unamended. Questions or concerns? If not, Vice Chair.
Members voting on SB 2161 SB1, the recommendation is to pass this measure unamended. With 6 members present, are there any reservations? Any opposition? Senator Lee is excused. Recommendation adopted.
Thank you very much. Next up is SB 2279. This is related to catalytic converters. It makes stealing catalytic converters a specific crime. It's already a crime, obviously, but this makes it more explicit. So recommendation here is to pass with some amendments. First, we have text, and then we'll accept the AG's amendments. This would simplify the wording of the offense and remove violations of Chapter 289 and 444 as the theft of a catalytic converter offense. According to the AG, both of these chapters already have penalties for violations of them. There was another amendment that I would like to go ahead with, but I couldn't get a hold of Chair Baker soon enough. Contacted her very late, so we'll just leave that out for now. But those are the amendments that I recommend. Any questions or concerns? If not, Vice Chair.
Members voting on SB 2279 SB1, the recommendation is to pass with amendments. With 6 members present, are there any reservations or no votes? Chair, recommendation adopted.
Thank you, members. Next up is 2292, SB 2292. This modernizes the definition of personal information for the purposes of notifying affected persons of data and security breaches. Recommendation here is to pass unamended. There was testimony that wanted to go back to the original language, and there was testimony that wanted to make further amendments. All that is pretty much in the Kuleana of the Consumer Protection Committee's jurisdiction. So I'll just recommend passing unamended. Questions or concerns? If not, Vice Chair.
Members voting on SB 2292 SB1, the recommendation is to pass this measure unamended. Noting again the presence of 6 members of the committee, are there any reservations or no votes? Recommendation adopted.
Thank you. Next up is SB 2297. This adds forfeiture of a vehicle as a punishment for any vehicle used in the commission of illegal disposal of solid waste. Recommendation here is to pass with some amendments. We'll make the penalty an optional penalty in addition to the existing penalties. So, so either or. Either or and. So the original penalties plus the forfeiture, or you can do both. So that would be the recommendation. Yeah, Senator Casio, go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to say that I also just have a few concerns that to note that in the case that this vehicle may be the person's primary residence or only residence for that matter, I think this would be a very difficult situation. So I will continue to vote with reservations.
Okay, understood. Any other concerns? If not, Vice Chair.
Members voting on SB 2297, the recommendation is to pass with amendments. With 6 members present, are there any reservations? I have reservations for Senator Ocasio. Any other members with reservations? Any no votes? Recommendation adopted.
Thanks very much. Next up is SB 2343. This allows cases within the jurisdiction of the Intermediate Court of Appeals involving a judgment, order, or decree of a family court that affect the custody of a minor child. Sorry, that's redundant. Of a child, including involuntary termination of parental rights, be transferred to the Supreme Court. Recommendation is to pass with text. It has a bad date already. I'm not quite convinced that this is the way to go, but I would like to keep the bill alive. Questions or concerns? If not, Vice Chair.
Members voting on SB 2343 SD1, Chair's recommendation is to pass with amendments. Noting the presence of all members of the committee, are there any reservations or no votes? Recommendation adopted.
Thank you, members. Next up is SB 2395. This adds coercive control and litigation abuse by a parent of a child to the list of factors to be considered by the court in determining what constitutes the best interest of the child when awarding custody and visitation rights to individuals in actions for divorce, separation, annulment, etc. Recommendation here is to pass as is. Questions or concerns? If not, Vice Chair.
Members, SB 2395 SB1 passing unamended. Are there any reservations or no votes? Seeing none, Chair, all members vote aye. Recommendation adopted.
Thank you. Next up is SB 3377. This prohibits any person from pre-setting commercial beach equipment on beaches encumbered with easements in favor of the public unless the customer is present. Recommendation here is to pass as is. Questions or concerns? Seeing none, Vice Chair.
Members voting on SB 3377 SB1, the recommendation is to pass this measure unamended. Are there any reservations or no votes? Chair, recommendation adopted.
Thanks, members. Next up is 2396. This clarifies that a minor who resides in the same household as the victim of domestic abuse can be included on the victim's petition for an order of protection or temporary restraining order. Recommendation here is to pass as is. Questions or concerns? Seeing none, Senator Keokalole.
Members, SB 2396, SB1, passing unamended. Are there any reservations? Any no votes? Recommendation adopted.
Thank you. Next up is SB 2424. This requires the Department of Human Services Child Protective Services Unit to investigate all parties involved in a marriage, including the prospective spouse and any person giving written consent to a minor's marriage, and report its findings to the family court before the court approves the marriage. Recommendation here is to pass with some amendments that I've already talked to Health Chair Keokalole about. So the recommendation will be to clarify that DOH is prohibited from issuing the marriage certificate for marriage, including 16 and 17-year-olds, until instructed by the family court. Clarify that is the family court who must provide approval of these marriages and require that the approval be in writing. Add language that at the time of 16 and 17-year-olds apply for a marriage certificate, DOH is to notify the marriage parties of the pending investigation report and court approval before issuing the marriage certificate, and also DOH is to notify CPS of the request to marry. We'll add language that specifies a reasonable time frame for CPS to conduct its investigation and its report, which we will set at 2 weeks. And we will add a defective date, July 30, 2075. Any questions or concerns? If not, Senator Keokalole.
Members, SB 2424, SB1, passing with amendments. Are there any reservations or no votes? Recommendation adopted.
Thank you. Next up is SB 2456, authorizes the issuance of limited purpose ID cards for certain residents. We have prior concurrence to make a couple of amendments. We'll accept the Hawaii Friends of Civil Rights Amendment to expand the allowable documents to include certificate of discharge, order of parole, or printout. And we also have to amend paragraph A16 to add certificate of discharge, order of parole, or printout by the Department of Public Safety with the person's photograph, name, and date of birth. Clarify that an individual issued a limited purpose identification card shall surrender any real ID compliant ID cards, driver's license, or permit at the time the limited purpose ID card is issued to the examiner of drivers, and their text as well. And we'll also put on a defective date, 7/30/75. Any questions or concerns on that one? If not, Vice Chair.
Members voting on SB 2456, SB1, the recommendation is to pass with amendments. Are there any reservations or no votes? Seeing none, recommendation adopted.
Thanks very much. Next up is SB 2514. This proposes a reform of probation procedures, giving probationers credit for good time for certain actions that they can take to reduce their probation period. The Senate, the House version of this bill has already cleared its final committee, so I'm going to go ahead and defer it, and we'll wait on the House version to come over. The next bill is SB 2587, relating to the Youth Commission. Requires the Youth Commission to appoint an executive director. Recommendation is to pass it with a bad date, July 30, 2075. Questions or concerns on 2587? If not, Vice Chair.
Members, SB 2580. I'm sorry.
With amendments.
With amendments.
Bad date.
Right. SB 2587, passing with amendments. Noting the presence of all members, are there any reservations or no votes? Recommendation adopted.
Okay, thank you. Next up is SB 872. This adds the chairperson of the Hawaiian Homes Commission or the chairperson's designee to serve as an ex officio voting member of the Commission on the Water Resource Management. Recommendation here is to pass it unamended. It has a bad date already. Questions or concerns? If not, Vice Chair.
Members voting on SB 872, SB1, the recommendation is to pass this measure unamended. Are there any reservations? Any no votes? Recommendation adopted.
Thanks very much. That brings us to the conclusion of this decision-making hearing. I believe that's all the bills. Staff, did I miss anything?
No, Chair.
Oh, okay, good. It felt like it, so that's why I was asking. All right, we have a joint hearing this afternoon, an actual hearing with Senator Gabbard and the Ag and Environment Committee at 1 p.m., I believe it is. Thanks for being here. See you then. We're adjourned.